Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We got the second game of the Saturday portion of Black Twitch League Week 5. New voice on the mic. It's Yanni. I've been here the last couple of weeks. Hope everybody's doing well. Still got RareAdam holding it down for the color casting. How was the last game? I didn't really get to catch all of it.
Last game was pretty interesting. The last series we got, it was Glacial Globals versus Dino Club. Dino Club had a very dominating game one and game three, and game two was absolutely whack. We had a York top pick that sort of just took down towers, and yeah, Glacial Globals were able to take a game away, but unfortunately, Dino Club kept their undefeated record at the end of the day.
York is as York does, and he goes and pushes down towers. That's just it's very frustrating.
It's a York thing,
yeah. But we got Maria's Dungeon versus Glacial Mingos, part of the Glacial organization, here for this game. The team is running through the pick and ban phase right now. Glacial Mingos opted to target the supports, Lulu, Soraka, and Yumi. Meanwhile, on the other side, Maria's Dungeon focusing down that LeBlanc and Trundle with a third ban pending.
Yeah, still waiting for what's going to come through. Ooh, it's going to be Shen. And we don't get any Yumi gameplay, but Lucian getting picked up really early. And we've seen a lot of Lucian get prioritized recently, especially with the buffs that it got in specifically to bot lane where your allies can proc your movement speed. It's really good, especially with Nami. But Maria's Dungeon have played against this before, and they're willing to pull out all the stops.
Yeah, I suppose if Glacial picks up the Nami, that's really cool. It does feel kind of weird that you ban 3 enchanters and then pick Lucian though. But Maria's Dungeon, they're going for the bread and butter. They're picking up the Seraphine, as Soul Lady is in the game, and I would imagine we'd be probably taking that in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Maria's a big fan of picking up the Seraphine, those type of picks. We did see her play mid lane last week. Had a relatively good performance overall, but really the star of Maria's Dungeon here is Expo, where usually they want to put him on a pick that is incredibly strong. But speaking of strong picks right now, Jax has risen to the top of the priority list. And with that Nami Scion picked up there, you've got a lot of auto attacks already from that Lucian. So Jax going to be very good at shutting that down.
Yeah, this is pretty sweet here from the Glacial Mingos. That bot lane combination that you just touched on is super strong. I personally love playing it. Lucian's one of my favorite champions. Nami also a favorite support of mine. So when you get to just throw your E on your Lucian, dash in, smack him a couple of times, it always feels pretty good. As you said, yeah, Jack's rising to the priority of top lane picks. Champion's been incredibly. I feel like the champion's been fairly strong for quite a long time. And, as things go in and out of the meta, it always feels like that there's always a fear in the back of your mind that Jax could get picked.
Yeah, Jack's one of those champions that a lot of people I feel like have really bad experiences with it in solo queue specifically, because it's one of those champions that your team's Jax versus enemy team's Jax turns that on its head. But overall here, with the Misfortune picked up here, we're going to basically get OP ADC versus OP ADC. Effectively throughout Worlds, we've seen... I don't want to count the Senna games because they were from one team. We got a Draven game out of Doggo, but for the most part, it's just been Misfortune, Ezreal, Lucian getting picked up down there, and the rotating cast just continues. It's sort of like a perfect triangle where Misfortune does well into Lucian, Ezreal does well into Misfortune, and Lucian does well into Ezreal. So sort of that's what we have here. The Misfortune as the reply to Lucian is definitely completely expected.
Yeah, I really love that there's like a holy trinity, yes. And especially around Worlds time when you get to see that kind of come out in these amateur picks. Second round of bans was flown through. Katarina and Jarvan, Glacial Mingos decided they didn't want to play against that. Maria's Dungeon banning out the Jinzhao and the Zoe, as Zoe is not a fun champion to play against at times. And Maria's Dungeon, we've been talking about the Worlds picks. There's a Talon here, and I've got a sneaking suspicion that could go in the jungle.
Yeah, I think that especially with the Seraphine picked up here, you already have some of your magic damage covered. If that does go to nukes in that mid lane, or even to Hacksaw in the support position, you have some magic damage already. So Talon getting picked up as your assassin jungler. Kha'Zix's going to be the answer from Adam Suki here, where it sort of just goes toe-to-toe. You can fight them early on, but Talon seen as one of the OP junglers right now hasn't been picked up as much at Worlds. We're still seeing, the Jarvans and the safer sort of junglers, but overall Talon is very strong. And the Rise as your last pick here in the mid lane, still technically sort of blind. We might see Nukes pull something else out, but Rise is also very strong. The nerfs that they put through weren't that big and just has such strong wave clear and sideline presence once you get into that mid to late game.
Yeah, I feel like when Ryze gets nerfed, he either is still strong or completely unplayable. Uh, Solid late game insurance policy for the Glacial Mingos. You know, you're relying a lot on your Lucian Nami in the early game, Kha'Zix as well. And then you decide, well, we need some magic damage, right? And if we don't win through the early game, like it goes late, you know, we need somebody who we can kind of put the game's shoulders on, and they're gonna pick the Ryze here and throw it over to their mid laner and just call it a day at that point. Syndra being picked up for Maria's dungeon looks like that'll probably go into the mid lane. I suppose there is a world where it doesn't, but I would be fairly I'd be fairly surprised if that were the case. Providing a lot of fair amount of damage, fair amount of pick potential as well. This team seems to have a bit of an issue with hard CC, so the picks are going to be incredibly important. Seraphine's Encore, along with the Syndra Scatter the Weeks, seem like that'll be the name of the game for Maria's Dungeon.
Yeah, and a lot of the times people have looked towards Misfortune with some of those really heavy teamfight ultimates. Of course, Curse of the Bullet Time, the most famous one at Worlds with a Mumu getting nerfed on 1120, which is the patch we're playing on. Teams have been forced to adapt a little bit. So Seraphine, you get the Encore Bullet Time combo. Encore time, is that what they're gonna call it? Do we just always have to make it a
no, it's bullet time because there's an encore.
Yeah, there's an encore. Yeah, bullet time, or we've seen Leona coming through with the bullet flare. I guess they're all just portmanteaus in that sense, but regardless, Misfortune works really well with a lot of the ADCs in the meta right now, or a lot of the support, in the meta. And as we said, that Holy Trinity that we're talking about, to an extent, it isn't, you have to pick Ezreal into Misfortune. You have to pick Misfortune into Lucian. It's just more of a suggestion. Really interesting to see that Misfortune even fell down to R3 here as opposed to being first picked or on either side, to be honest.
Right. I mean, I suppose it just came with the territory of the first pick Lucian out of Glacial. You just decided, all right, well, we don't necessarily need to pick Misfortune here. We can pick up other priorities a little bit sooner. Seraphine was still on the table at the time. And sure, Lucian Nami is an incredibly strong combo, but then you start getting into discussions of, is it worth it to take the Seraphine away from Maria's dungeon? And that sort of discussion. I'm kind of happy that, they took that away. I didn't want to see if Glacial would get away from what seems to be the game plan or something like that, as teams can be prone to do. There are a lot of times where you're just like, oh, I want to pick this away from the enemy team, and then you don't perform as well in the pick.
Yeah, it's sort of just a comfort thing at the end of the day. Whether you want to pick Misfortune first or the Lucian first, really you don't see the Ezreal unless there's a Misfortune picked up early. So really interesting to see how the draft evolved. I'm very interested to see what this Scion into Jax can do, because generally up on the top side, Jax wants to be able to have a little bit of a, I wouldn't say weaker laner, because Scion is still a very strong laner in a lot of ways. So sort of less bursty champion to be able to bully out. You get to build up Blade of the Ruined King and start to become a menace in that side lane. But honestly, I think that Talon should have a pretty decent time going up to gank for that Jax. So got to keep an eye on how TJ and Adam are able to keep their top side safe and make sure that the Scion can scale to that late game potential where he just gets 12,000 health and never dies.
Yeah, I feel like the entire top side of the map is just going to be so bloody. I feel like this Kha'Zix and Talon may be at each other's throats all game. You have two assassins in the jungle. Obviously, one of them needs to be the apex predator. And Talon just seems like such an expo champion that I wonder if Adam Suki is going to be able to, win these 1v1s if they elect to take them.
I think one of the main things about Expo is he's shown his ability to always be in the right place at the right time. Last week in their matchup, who are they playing again? I was casting that game. This is the worst part about when you cast a whole bunch of games. You forget who they play against.
Exactly.
Yeah, they played up
Glacial
against
Academy.
Yeah, Glacial
right?
Academy. Expo was incredibly good there. Had 100% kill participation in that early stage. Glacial Academy was at their base, and Expo had a hero play to be able to bring it all the way back on the Kayn. Able to finish out that series with, I think, like a 90% kill participation, was everywhere on the map. So they really like to play around their jungler and give him as much ability as possible. But interestingly enough, they have some substitutions coming through. Maria's playing bot lane this time with Hacksaw. Nuke's coming in off the bench. So a couple of different champions coming through, which might bring a little bit of a different look for Maria's Dungeon here.
Yeah, and really, talking about the different look, it's that the entire feng shui of the team, so to speak, is a little off now because Soul Lady in the mid lane plays a very control mage supportive style, and you're not really gonna get that as much out of Syndra. I feel like Syndra's like somewhat of a control mage, but somewhat aggressive enough that it feels a little weird to just straight up call her a control mage, as opposed to like champions that Soul Lady plays like a Nivea and stuff like that. So it is going to have a large trickle down effect on how Expo is going to be enabled this game if they are able to.
Yeah, we'll have to see really where the power points of their team comp will lie. If Expo is able to get off the ground running, we should see Expo become that focal point. But Miss Fortune, such a strong champion if she can get in her own. Whereas on the flip side, give Boxian a little bit too much time and you're really regretting giving that rise over. And Lucian Nami can be such a lane bully as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be so far behind in the spot lane. Theoretically, of course, obviously you have to play the games, you got to play them out. But theoretically speaking, I feel like the Lucian Nami can do a whole lot against Miss Fortune Seraphine, provided they hit level 2 first. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, bot lane's a bit of a worry right now. It really cuts off the available kills that Expo is able to get on the map, and if Expo isn't really able to get these kills because his bot lane's so far behind and the wards are up and they're Chandler and Gabe are just backing off, then that in turn allows Rise to that ticking time bomb to continue to tick tick tick.
For sure. And we've just got to make sure that we are keeping our eye on this mid lane, because Nukes on the Syndra can definitely live up to his name with that outplay potential on the R button.
Yep, and that R button does a whole lot of damage. In fact, that R button does so much damage, it just slammed directly into us. So we're going to take a base real quick, be right back, get some health pots and probably some magic resistance. And we will be right back for the second game overall, the first game of the second match of tonight for Black Twitch League Week 5. See you soon. Hey everybody, we finally got our back. We got our magic resistance. What did we get? We only get an all magic mantle, right? I think we only had the gold for that. Oh, okay. Well, we are here. Glacial Mingos, Maria's Dungeon, the Glacial Mingos are on the blue side. TJ Lanier, Adam Suki, Boxian, Chandler Clark, and Gabe Kocheski. I hope I didn't butcher that guy's last name.
Gabe.
My last
He's
name's hard to
Gabe this
pronounce.
game.
He's just Gabe.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gabe. Meanwhile, on the other side, Maria's Dungeon, Fishing Frenzy in the top lane, Expo in the jungle, Nukes in the mid lane, Soul Lady at AD carry, and Hacksaw at support.
And I have one thing to check here. Oh my goodness, Fishing Frenzy has already lost this game. Did not go Angler Jax despite his name. I am extremely disappointed.
Oh. Get off the stage.
Feels
That's lame.
bad, man. But
If he doesn't own that skin, somebody's got to buy it for him. Come now.
I don't think you can buy Angler Jax anymore. That's the
you
thing.
can.
It's such an old skin that you can't get it. But up on this top side, TJ Lanier's just trying to vibe, and Fishing Frenzy says, "I'm having none of that."
Wait, Fishing Frenzy, yo, chill, dog. Chill, dog. Flash burn out of TJ as he opens with the counter strike and gets the best of the Scion.
Yeah, and that's one of those times that color cast I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna get a kill, and then I was like, uh-oh, what's going on? But
Yeah, right.
Yeah, heavy trading early between those top. That's a big win for Jax already because that's both sums off of TJ Lanier.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating to see that sometimes because you could just potentially lose a game at level 1. It doesn't often happen at this level, but it is still absolutely possible.
Exactly, and especially when you have to burn that teleport to get back to the lane, that's when it hurts the most. But interestingly enough, on the bot side, with the Nami going Electrocute, the reason behind that, I mean, if anyone's heard me cast in the last couple of weekends, I've been obsessed with this Electrocute Nami, where it procs off of your bubbles. But of note, Lucian went for the Q first, so not really going for that level 1 pressure.
And that lack of flash definitely hurting TJ. Sure, it's probably best that he didn't use it up there, but takes a really rough trade from Fishing Frenzy, who hit level 2 first. Oh, there's that electrocute you were just talking about, chunking out Hacksaw. Oh, I love when that happens. It makes you feel so smart.
Yeah, and it's Hacksaw taking a big chunk of damage there, but it is Seraphine, so she should be able to heal up over time. Of course, with her health potions, she believes she bought the cookies as well, so just going to be keeping as healthy as possible, and of course, when she gets that W, but this mid lane is going way more aggressively than I think either of us think for how early it is.
Yeah, and look at Boxian's movement. His movement through the minions to dodge the dark spheres is just so clean right now.
Yeah, really well played to kind of keep away from Syndra. Generally, in that early laning phase, Ryze will get a little bit more push prio because of how quickly he can push those waves. Doesn't like to do it because of how much mana it costs him, but thus far, Boxian definitely playing this lane incredibly well into nukes. Staying even in CS, all things considered, though, but lots of health being traded both ways, and Boxian actually has the advantage because of that extra corrupting potion, which he just popped.
He is a little bit low on mana, so we will see if Nukes is able to kind of counter a push here. But I mean, it's you're playing against Ryze. Like, it's so difficult to try to slow this man down. It just chunks through the minion waves, tears through him like tissue paper.
Yeah, he read the runes, and you lose. That's exactly what he says. So you wouldn't expect anything less, but thus far, even in gold, so it's nothing too catastrophic quite yet.
Oh, you see this on the mini map right here? Oh, no, it looks like Expo's going to have to back off. He's moving toward the mid lane, but isn't able to make anything happen there. Adam Suki is just going to pick this bottom scuttle crab up unabated right there. And, we were talking about it, which one of these guys is going to be the apex predator in the jungle, and Expo a little bit less HP and had to back off of that. This is going to be able to get the one up top, though.
I think the biggest difference is that early on, Talon needs to make sure that he has at least the Iron Spike Whip to kind of consolidate the damage, because right now, looking at Adam Suki, he has Ignite as well on this Kha'Zix, which is something I just noticed, but didn't go for the more aggressive Electrocute or Dark Harvest, but still has a lot of isolation damage, which is something that Talon will struggle with throughout this game. But my goodness, this mid lane, there's just a lot of buttons being pressed.
That's the most feels bad situation. Nukes just came back, immediately teleported. Uh-oh. This is going to feel bad as well, as TJ Lanier getting stunned up in the top lane. Expo had come through the turret. It is first blood going over to Expo. And we mentioned it earlier on. This top side of the map, this matchup between Scion and Jax, and how Talon was going to be able to affect it. You saw right there. Big gank.
Yeah, very volatile up in that top side. And you can see that on the flip side of it, Glacial Mingos are going to pick up the Dragon. So they end up getting effectively an even macro trade, but getting first blood on your Talon is very good. Will get him off to the races. And the faster you can get this champion to level 6, the more he can affect the bot lane, which is going to be a little bit harder to gank because it is Lucian. But if you get level 6, it is significantly easier. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Boxy went for it. He makes a huge play right there on the nukes, burning the flash. That is absolutely huge, as now that wave is going to crash in as well.
Yeah, just really well played, but Expo now
Wait a
in
minute.
trouble.
There's more fighting. Expo flashing forward, but he can't finish off the kill on the Boxy. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Fishing Frenzy is going to pick up his first kill of the game and send TJ right back to the fountain. Oh, rough stuff, though. Seems like the Glacial Mingos, although they missed out on that top lane kill, have a bit of an advantage. Boxy and starting to get accelerated now.
Yeah, the solo lanes are going exact polar opposites on this side. The Rise doing extremely well for the early game, has picked up that Lost Chapter, which is so good on Rise, especially in the early game, because it means you can stay in lane for so long. Whereas on the flip side, Jax is able to get a solo kill with just boots, which is really feels bad if you are the Scion here. And Fishing Frenzy should be able to go back and pick up some decent items here. The Sheen coming through and plated steel caps, so shouldn't be dying to any ganks even at this point. Just has to be careful for any Rise roams.
Man, that's the perfect back right there. You get yourself some plated steel caps, you get yourself a Sheen, you pick yourself up a pink ward. Like, you're feeling real good after that back.
Yeah, Fishing Frenzy is going to have an incredible advantage up on this top side compared to just the Ruby Crystal. I'm curious to see whether Fishing Frenzy opts to go Divine Sunderer first, maybe even Trinity Force. I wouldn't be surprised considering Scion's the only tank and he's already behind. Or if we see that Blade of the Rune King rush that we have seen on champions like Jax, like Aurelia, in this top lane so that they can push their advantages a little bit more. But just have to be very careful of this Rise because this champion scales so well into the later stage of the game. Nukes is going to scale as well, but not as hard as Rise. And considering the advantage that was almost gifted over from Expo overextending just a little bit, it's going to be very difficult for this Rise to be held down.
And take a look, he's got a Dark Seal right now. That thing's got 4 stacks on it. So already, even though he has, he has the tier as a mana item, he's got plenty of made up for stats there. As TJ is just getting absolutely run down. Flash is burnt, but it will not matter. Fishing Frenzy picks up the second right there. That is some really rough stuff if you are TJ and the side of the Glacial Mingos.
And I saw TJ buy the Phage there. He still wants to go for this Hullbreaker, which is really interesting because at this point, Jax can sit in this side lane and farm you. He just sits there and like you want to leave the Scion alone, that should be fine regardless, but this phase rush is not paying off thus far. I think maybe you go for the grasp on top of the Hullbreaker if you want that, or maybe you just go for the tank stats at this point, but all up to the top side from Rise.
There's a lot of damage out of TJ. It was a great ultimate. Boxian brings up Adam Suki and himself up there, but Jax, he's going to be able to leap strike away and hit the blast plant. Feels so bad.
I mean, TJ was also taunting the entire time, so maybe just having a little bit too much fun up on that top side, but really good ultimate to be able to clear out that wave and make Jax, or put Jax into a really sticky situation, but Fishing Frenzy gets out of there unscathed.
Oh, the Nami tidal wave goes down. Lucian dropping the culling as well. Gets exhausted. The bullet time is out. Chandler Clark flashing forward, but is unable to finish the kill onto Haxel. Now Soul Lady looking to turn it around as Gabe is getting lower and lower in the top lane. TJ getting in trouble once again. Fishing Frenzy leaping forward, counter-striking, picking up their third kill of the game. In the bot lane, Gabe just barely alive, gets hit with the Scout of the Week. The ultimate unleashed power goes down onto Lucian, takes him out. Gabe trying to get away, but Nukes is going to flash forward, land that Dark Spear, and pick up a double kill.
Yeah, and just really good map play coming out from the side of Maria's Dungeon. They're able to pick up 2 on the bot side, pick up the Scion once again, and it was a good play from Boxian and Adam Suki to move up to that top side, but unfortunately they don't get anything out of it. Fishing Frenzy able to heal up once again, gets back into that lane and is able to pick up another kill for themselves. So while Expo actually hasn't been the main focal point this game, the bot lane is able to turn it around, give a couple kills over to Nukes, and up on this top side, this Jax is going to be incredibly scary come late game.
Yeah, I was curious, about that bottom play. I was thinking that the big worry was going to be Boxy and picking up now 3 plates in the mid lane, but the fact that Fishing Frenzy has matched that on the top lane with 2 plates means
Expo.
that the scary threats are going to be really scary
Oh,
still. And Boxy and getting bursted out there from Nukes. It was a great gank by Expo, gets their second kill of the game, as now things are starting to look not so great for the Glacial Mingos.
and Expo getting that kill is probably the worst case scenario for the side of Mingos in general because all of a sudden this assassin that was a little bit behind is now ahead, and Adam Suki, while picking up that early assist and being ahead in farm, not really paying off in terms of the gold. And if we look at that difference right now, you can see that this Kha'Zix is actually down about 600 gold despite having what we thought was the more proactive early game. Going up to that top side, missing out on that kill was really devastating, but Nuke's in trouble.
Well, potentially. He is trying to put some distance between these guys. A nice slow from that W, but Boxy and flashing forward. Adam Suki leaping over the wall, getting a big shutdown. 450 gold in the pocket of that Kha'Zix. And there are a lot of squishy targets on the side of Maria's dungeon, so that Kha'Zix will be problematic later.
Yeah, it is. It is a good reply to the Talon picking up a kill, so should even up that gold. But Kha'Zix, the main issue is that he went for the evolved Q first, so will have more damage in isolation. But when you look at where Misfortune and Seraphine are going to want to stay in comparison to the rest of the comp, they're never going to be isolated. They're going to be next to each other. And Seraphine has enough peel as well as Guardian to make sure that Soul Lady from Maria is going to be able to stay alive for as long as possible. So with Ocean Rift coming through and actually both dragons going over to Mingos in the early game should lead to some very interesting mid to late game team fights, because while topside is absolutely over... Oh my goodness, never mind.
That was a huge play by TJ to knock up Fishing Frenzy with his Q and then knock him up with the ultimate and kind of back him off a little bit here. Interested to see if he's going to get aggressive on it. I'd be a little bit worried as he's just an auto attack and a reset. Does so much damage, but Adam Suki is up here ready to clean up the Fishing Frenzy. He's been ignited. Counter-Strike is out, but that Ignite will tick him away. And I guess that's why Adam decided to pack Ignite instead of Flash this game.
Yeah, and Ignite is generally something you would expect on the Talon and not the Kha'Zix, but obviously very comfortable on this Assassin jungler, wanting to just make sure that you get as many kills as possible. And picked up 2 back-to-back there, so this Kha'Zix will be able to most likely pick up a Ghost Blade now and be able to really roam around the map. I think they need to start to look towards bot side, though, because Lucian and Nami don't necessarily scale very well into the later stages of the game, and TJ going to do the strat where he executes just so that he can punch down that tower a little faster.
Yeah, all right. I mean, it is an execute, and, you are going to get a plating out of it, so I suppose it's worth it. It's how much do you balance having the gold with a death timer,
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the wave is completely pushed and no teleport on Jax. It means that Sion should be able to get back to that lane properly, but honestly, this is sort of like the Season 11 version of inting Sion, where, you're going to go and kill that Sion now, but with the Hullbreaker, he just cares about taking those towers, and it's a little bit of a toxic play style, especially in a team setting, but fighting in the jungle here.
Yeah. All right, Adam Suki getting chased down by Fishing Frenzy. Man, he is so sticky right now. Deals so much damage. Leap Strike should be up very shortly. He's going to flash forward with the Counter-Strike, instead pick up the kill. Meanwhile, Boxian has found a Wild Expo and has bursted him out to about 33% HP. TJ Lanier over the wall. He can't see the knockup. It's so huge. Boxian picking that one up. But now, TJ, he's going to have to kite this one out. Fishing Frenzy landing the stun onto him. Boxian machine gunning around with damage. Unleashed power from Syndra. Gets the kill there. Boxian in hot pursuit of Fishing Frenzy will pop that ultimate, but Sion walked out of it. No.
Yeah, I don't know if Sion walked out of it or if it just doesn't work that way. I feel like it should, because Zombie Sion's still a champion, but whatever happened there, just really unfortunate that they couldn't get at least someone on top of Fishing Frenzy. And 4-1-2 on this Jax, working towards the Divine Sunderer, which should be complete on the next back, means that Fishing Frenzy is going to have a lot better time. And now Boxian's in trouble here, actually.
Going for it? He is going for it. Boxian doesn't really have the mana for this. Leaping forward, he does get snared up, but he does have just enough mana to be able to take down Fishing Frenzy.
Player 3 has joined.
There, here comes Expo. Expo flashing forward. Shadow Assault is there, finding a kill. Meanwhile, Sion ulting into the mid lane, deals a lot of damage to Nukes. Can't quite land the knockup as Syndra is going to flash away. Chandler Clark in hot pursuit. The culling is there. Flashes over the wall. Picks up that kill as well. And the Glacial Mingos, they are revived. They have life.
Yeah, they're showing that they still have some life left in them. Well, Sion doesn't, but everyone else does on their team. Rise able to get the 1v1 kill onto Fishing Frenzy, which is a little bit, well, is to be expected considering, you know, you can't Counter-Strike away from Rise's spells. It does mean you take a little bit less damage, but only for area of effect spells, which Rise doesn't have in his kit. So overall, really well played, and they're going to be able to pick up a tower. They don't get first brick, though, because that does go over to the Misfortune and the Seraphine. So well played already coming out from the side of Maria's Dungeon to give Misfortune sort of some breathing rooms. She wasn't really taken advantage of in that bot side, which can become the situation when you have Lucian Nami, but she was given a lot of alone time, able to pick up that first tower, and with the lethality build coming through and no true tank on the side of Mingos, her ult is going to be shredding come late game.
Gotta give her a lot of credit. She's really not down a whole lot of CS, especially after, you know, that rough start to the lane where Hacksaw got bursted out. So all the credit to Soul Lady, and, you know, as long as her Misfortune ultimates are on point later in the game, it'll be considered a job well done. Rift Herald taken, given over to this Scion with the Hullbreaker. A big worry there. And in the mid lane, Adam Suki coming out to burst Soul Lady. Here comes Hacksaw. Hacksaw landing the ultimate, but it is not enough. So Adam Suki goes down. However, Nukes flies right in and picks up the kill with the Unleashed Power. Meanwhile, in the top lane, they devote 3 members to the top lane, and they are rewarded as Fishing Frenzy is taken down.
Yeah, the play might not be over either because Boxian is sort of... There are people behind Boxian, but the rest of the team is going to show up. It looks like they might try and rotate over to this dragon, but Chandler Clark, you're not supposed to walk on that side of the wall.
Oh, no, he does. He manages to dash that scat of the week there. Expo will drop the ultimate, but not going forward any further. Now these guys are running away as Boxian, trying to get control of this river, has decided to pick out Hacksaw here at the root. The damage flashed by Hacksaw, but Boxian is just so fast right now.
Yeah, very fast to be able to get out of any sort of situations, especially with that phase rush. But TJ Linear is going to start the fight off on his own.
Here he goes. He manages to whiff Fishing Frenzy on the backline. Will root up Boxing, and here comes the bullet time out. Chandler Clark finds the kill on Jax. Meanwhile, on the backline, TJ Lanier finds a kill on to that Seraphine. Nukes managing to pick that one up on the Talon. The Dragon going over to the Glacial Mingos, and now they've gone for a push mid lane. They've decided to ignore the rest of the fight. This is huge for the Mingos.
Yeah, really well played for them to use that ultimate to be able to move to that mid lane. They pick up another tower, and, you know, TJ Lanier picking up a kill is probably the worst part of that entire fight because now he's worth gold again. But regardless, well played to be able to shut down that backside of the fight. Fishing Frenzy went down in his own 1v3 without killing a soul, so they get themselves on soul point. They get that dragon. They get a tier 2 mid lane, and despite Mingo's odd strategies from TJ Lanier specifically, they put themselves in a really good position. They're up 1,000 gold, which is not the most that you can be up, but it is substantial enough to be worthwhile mentioning.
Expo chasing forward toward Adam Suki. Here comes the Shadow Assault. It's a lot of damage down. The Qs are too much. Who's going to win this one? It is Expo, indeed, winning this one. Just a little bit stronger than Adam Suki right now.
Yeah, the bleed is the big thing there, as it just does a whole bunch of damage. But oh my goodness.
Oh my god, who else does a whole bunch of damage? Chandler Clark, with the help of Gabe, a big kill onto Maria. 4-1 for Chandler Clark right now.
And we were talking about how Maria was able to survive that laning phase really well, but at this point, she's just trying to walk around the map, get whatever farm she can. And this is the second time that she's sort of been taken advantage of in this mid lane. Chandler Clark and Gabe Kochki just given all the speed and all the mobility that you need. And now with this Rift Herald on the bot side, TJ Lanier is going to be able to pick up another tower for himself.
Yeah, Expo's going to try to match him here, but with this Hullbreaker, I'm not sure if Expo is going to be able to kill him. This could be very problematic very soon. Hacksaw is waiting in to make anything happen here. Big knock up onto Expo, but that's about it. The Rift Herald does go down, so, you know, they've decided Maria's Dungeon is like, you know what, we got what we came for.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, TJ Lanier is just starting to fill the role of being as annoying as possible in this side lane. You can see building towards either a Yomu's or a Prowler's Claw, something along those lines, means that you're just going to have to always have your eye on this Scion, which is the most annoying part. He may be 1-7, but he's going to do a lot of damage to you, and he has that zombie form to potentially turn a 1-for-0 into a 1-for-1 or a 1-for-1 into a 2-for-1 if you send multiple members. So this Scion, while not necessarily my favorite way to play Scion, I dare say. You know, you can take advantage of how much bonus health you get with your W. It is still going to be quite strong in these side lanes, and Fishing Frenzy really needs to try and get into a position where he can match that.
Yep, and he is trying to match that by killing Boxy and flashes forward, lands the counter-strike. Boxy and is
Oh!
going to flash back into the Realm Warp. What a sick play from this Rise.
Really well played, and I think the Nami wave helped out a lot just to put a little bit more pressure, but man, just using a little bit too much of your crowd control early on Rise ends up... Oh
my God! Insane amount of damage out of
no!
Nukes. Is Adamsuki going to get away? No, he failed the jump over the wall. Does not have flash available to him as he left that one at home in the lunchbox. It's going to be a kill for Nukes, and we did say that, you know, Nukes was getting abused a little bit earlier, but is absolutely massive right now.
Yeah, and in this bot side right now, Nukes and Haxar are just having to deal with this Scion once again. You leave the Scion alone for one wave too many, and he's going to take down 80% of your tier 2. So overall, unfortunate that Adamsuki goes down, but Mingos are growing their gold lead through all of this. They've been able to play this 1-3-1 exceptionally well. Boxing is so difficult to kill in these side lanes, as we saw with that great escape with the Realm Warp. And TJ Linear doesn't care if he dies in the side lane because he'll continue to push and zombie for him.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to keep him in the bottom lane as this Riftchild is going to spawn super. Oh my God, Boxian, he's so much damage. Fishing Frenzy can't match that anymore, and that's a huge concern because that's your ace in the hole right there, getting beaten down by their eyes.
And the kind of caveat of everything is that you have all of these plated steel caps built. At least you have them on the Talon as well as on the Jax, but Boxian does a lot of damage. He's sitting on 2.5 items right now, has the pen boots as well, so you need to build MR against this guy, and it's really hard to itemize that if you're Talon. It's not as hard to itemize if you're the Jax. You need to build that Wit's End, but going for Blade of the Rune King first means that you're going to have to wait for MR to come through if you don't opt for Merc Treads.
It's such a hard time to wait right now because there's 35 seconds on this Ocean Drake, and if you wait too long to get that, you can't get into the fight properly. You know, if Glacial Mingos takes this dragon and they get the soul, that's going to be really difficult for Maria's Dungeon to handle. From the back end, TJ landed a big knockup onto Expo. He has been exhausted. Here comes the Nami wave. It's going to cut off the members of the team. Adamsuki over the wall looking for Expo here. Expo solo. Great scout of the week, though. TJ goes down. Adamsuki just barely living. He's trying to run away. Nuke's flashing forward for that one as TJ's creating a lot of discourse on the backside of the fight. But Boxian wasn't even in that fight. And here he comes.
Yeah, Boxian is now showing up to this one. Doesn't have the Realm Warp available. Might have actually used it to get closer to this fight, but this is soul for them, and they still have Adamsuki up and available, whereas Expo is not up for another 10 seconds. Oh my goodness.
He's going for it, but he's been rooted. He's just spinning around in a circle, not doing anything. Down he goes. Chandler Clark picking up a 5th.
Oh!
Nuke's huge stun right there, but Gabe is barely going to live. There's the ultimate from Misfortunate. Is going to finish off that kill and deal some damage to Chandler. These guys, they have to secure this dragon soon.
Yeah, Adamsuki is... TJ Linear's thrown up again.
Here's TJ again. Down goes that Seraphine. Soul Lady being chased down so low, but Expo is here. He kills the Lucian. The Menace is down. Can he find the other flashing forward on the boxy and picks that one up as well? Huge hero play out of Expo. And running scared goes that Scion, yelling cowards as he skirts out of there. And the dragon will be taken by Maria's Dungeon. They did not give over the soul.
That's such good gameplay coming through from both Nukes and Expo, as Expo dying first in that fight, but they're able to stall out for so long, and I think you have to give a lot of credit to Nukes, just able to be such a pain in the butt for Mingos throughout that entire time. And TJ Linear, while he shows up at the very end of that, you saw how little damage he did in his initial engage onto the Talon through that exhaust, so well played from Hacksaw as well. It ends up being a net positive play for the side of Maria's Dungeon, and we're back up to almost even in terms of gold. And
you know, while Syndra isn't exactly Rise in terms of late game scaling, this Syndra is strong right now and is only going to get stronger. Doesn't even have a Void Staff, doesn't even have a Rabadon's, nothing like that.
Yeah, nothing built quite yet. You can see there's still a full item advantage for this Rise, and looking at the gold, it's still, 1,600 gold because for some reason, Boxian is just Doan B 257 CS 24-minute hack out here in terms of his CS, doing really well in these side lanes to be that pain. And we were talking about how you need to match your Jax with that Scion. You can't put the Syndra up against this Rise because Rise will win almost every single time.
Yeah, I mean, but we saw that Jax is just getting beat up by Boxian at this point. I think maybe, This could be problematic if Boxy elects to go in on Nukes, but Expo is coming through. Expo from behind. He's going to be able to burst out Boxy, and he's solo, and down he goes. They have killed the menace in the side lane.
Yeah, and of note, level 16 on Ryzen, they still end up going down. Really unfortunate, but ooh, great play to Fishing Frenzy to get out of there. The Prowler's Claw attack coming through from this Kha'Zix.
Yeah, Prowler's Claw on the Scion as well. They're just looking to dash through people and deal a bunch of damage at this point in time.
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, they've committed 4 members up to this top side of the map, and they're not going to push for this Baron, which is really interesting considering you have Q Evolve on the Kha'Zix, as well as your Nami and Lucian, who do a bunch of damage with Kraken Slayer to these objectives. They're not going to be able to pick up that Baron because of how much pressure is put back on the top side with the recall from the Talon, but Nukes was just able to push down a decent chunk of that bot lane, and against TJ Linear, I don't think this Syndra is that scary because she can stun him out of the Q animation, but if there's a teleport, she might be worried.
Yeah, this could be an issue as Boxy is going to go around the side. Big knockup out of TJ Lanier. You are stun locked forever. Nukes, goodbye. I hope you're doing well. We'll see you in about 45 seconds. That is a huge loss for Maria's Dungeon.
Yeah, just very unfortunate teleport timing coming through from Boxian, but once again able to pick up that kill, and now you have to worry about this Rise in your bot lane. You can see Fishing Frenzy forced to move down there, but still no MR, so you've always got to keep an eye on that itemization. But right now, this game is a little bit of a chess match now. You have, teleports up for the side of Maria's Dungeon now, whereas Glacial Mingos don't have that available, so their split push suddenly gets a little bit stronger. But once again, this Scion I don't think cares about joining the fight. Will just continue to push down waves as he pleases, and we're going to have to see Maria's Dungeon try and find some sort of opportunistic team fight, because the longer they wait, the more this Rise is going to scale. And now at 3.5 items, it's not as if once he reaches full build, he's like capped per se. He just is so strong. Like 6-item Rise is scary.
Resting near 27 minutes in the game. The Rise, level 16, the absolute menace known as Boxian, just farming it up, 281 CS right now, well over 10 CS per minute. The mid lane that you want to see on your solo queue teams. Adam Suki runs right into Expo. He's going to have to go over the wall. Here comes the Scion ultimate as they're chasing down Hacksaw. Hacksaw's been slowed. Hacksaw will have to flash to avoid the knockup, so some summoners burnt there. As Nukes, he's looking to burst down Boxian, but the Zonias is there. Chandler Clark with the calling, and now Nukes could be in a little bit of trouble being chased down by multiple members of the side of the Glacial Mingos, but his team is around to try to bail him out of a bad situation.
Yeah, and actually really well played from Nukes there, burning the stopwatch off of Boxian, who won't be building that Zhonya's anytime soon. Wants to build that Rabadon's first, but Adam Suki trying for a very ambitious play onto Expo, almost gets taken down, and really only by virtue of having that Nami have heals on demand is the reason that they're able to survive that. But look at this, TJ Linear's in trouble again.
He does have a blast plant there, and he will be able to get out of there without much of an issue. But I mean,
they could,
a lot of members hopped on him, and they did some damage to him. Like, Hullbreaker, it doesn't make you, impossibly invincible. Fishing Frenzy does get rooted up, getting rooted up multiple times, and it's just too strong is Boxy, and here comes the ultimate from Misfortune, but it is not enough. It is a 2-for-1 in favor of the Glacial Mingos, and they have their sights set on the Ocean Soul.
Yeah, they're able to get over there so fast. Expo doesn't even have a chance to steal this away, and this is Ocean Soul on a Scion who's already quite tanky despite his build. A Rise specifically has a lot of bonus health built up through the items, and oh my goodness. The alley-oop.
Damn, dude.
That's the alley-oop right there. Boxy just sets that up for TJ Linear to run through him with a train. Feels bad, man.
In the words of the great Phil Swift, that's a lot of damage. Expo himself taking a lot of damage as well. Big double knockup there. Down goes Expo. Nukes, the only one trying to hold off on this mid lane. It looks like the Glacial Mingos will peel away and head toward the Baron.
And the thing about Glacial Mingos is they played exactly to their win condition. They needed to play around this mid and bot lane to get them ahead, and they have done exactly that. 7 kills on both Boxian and Chandler Clark. Both of them are doing so much damage now at this stage of the game, and they take this objective so quickly. They have the Ocean Soul, and this could be game because there's not a whole lot of Grievous Wounds being built up on the opposite side. Really only the Oblivion Orb on Seraphine. No Putrefier yet.
Oh, Nuke's trying to take that, almost killing Gabe. Meanwhile, the top lane, Hacksaw goes down to TJ. Nukes manages to burst out the Rise with help from Fishing Frenzy. I wonder if they're going to try to get into this fight. Fishing Frenzy will leap strike back, and it looks like they will disengage the fight here. Baron going over to the Glacial Mingos as their gold lead up to about 4,000 now.
And while they are able to pick up that kill onto the Rise, it just sort of stalls out the inevitable. You won't have that Rise in the side lane anymore, but then you'll have to worry about the Scion in the side lane regardless with the teleport back up, with that ultimate, with that Hull Breaker, and with Baron buff. Just be able to push down those waves in a flash. So overall, you end up... You like that you got the kill onto the Rise, but he's just going to group up with his team now, and that's arguably worse.
Yeah, you've got a lot of work to do at this point. And in reality, it could be a pick your poison scenario. They could elect to put Scion in one lane, Rise in the other, and do like a little bit of a 1-3-1. I don't necessarily think that Lucian Nami Kha'Zix is a great 1-3-1, in the mid lane, but you could do it. And then just, tell Maria's Dungeon, hey, would you like to deal with the Scion or would you like to deal with the Rise? Because you can't 1v1 either of them. You're going to have to commit multiple members to one of them, which means you're not going to be committing multiple members to both of them.
Yeah, you have to always keep an eye on how many members you actually send to each of these fights. You can't just be sending 5 members to everywhere, because then you need to have 10 members on your team, and unfortunately they haven't doubled up Summoner's Rifted. I feel like that would be really fun as a game mode, but oh my goodness, nukes.
What's really not fun as a game mode is being run down by a Scion. I felt that way as an AD carry for multiple years now. As Scion going forward lands a big knock-up. Fishing Frenzy has killed Adamsuki. He's trying to run the fight here. He does pop and Snare Gauge, but it is not enough as Chandler picks up that kill. And now they've set their size on Hacksaw.
Where did Hacksaw go?
He just got destroyed. The Hacksaw in the workshop has been broken. Boxian went to root him, but there was no body left to root. And now the bottom inhibitor turret is down. The bottom inhibitor is down. Their sights are set on the Nexus turrets. Expo, can you be the hero? I don't think this champion has the ability to kill 4 people at the same time. Multiple ones who are tanky, and Boxian is going to run through Expo here with the help of TJ Lanier. The ace going over to Gabe, the unsung hero. He finally gets his first of the game, and now the Nexus has been exposed. They're padding the CS numbers, and they're just waiting for the wave to come in.
Oh no, they're gonna actually...
What the heck are you doing, man? The Found Laser can't keep up, gunning everybody down, but Boxian manages to walk away. He's Zonius right now. Why, guys? Why are you gonna do that?
That was the most BM fountain dive ever, and it won't end the game there. So we were getting ready for them to end the game, and they just didn't because they wanted to have a little bit more fun. But fun fact, Fountain Laser doesn't have any champion prio. It just shoots the first thing it can. So if you move a bunch of minions in there, it will hit the minions first. But they're just going to extend this game just a little bit longer. Maybe it's just mental warfare at this point, but Mingos have full control of this game at this stage.
And listen, if I'm Maria's Dungeon, I'm playing the rest of this game and next game with a big chip on my shoulder after that. There is a world where the Glacial Mingos, make a misplay and they lose out on Elder or something like that. This is why you don't really want to have that sort of thing happen, because it is scary. There are champions on the opposite side that are scary. Jax is a very scary champion, and if he manages to pick up some magic resistance at some point in time, it looks like he's finally starting to go for that. He's gonna be a problem, and now Adamsuki is engaged onto Expo here. Expo trying to do as much damage as he can. I feel like these assassins are not good at assassinating each other, and now Soul Lady from over the wall will drop the bullet time. Nowhere for Adamsuki to go. That was a smooth little move on the
fade away. Yeah, she moved right away as the comet came down, and I think that's what Proctor collectors. So Maria with a little bit of style, but considering everyone on stream just heard the invite ping, this game ends in the next 3 minutes.
Oh,
Spoiler.
I didn't even hear the invite ping.
You heard it through the stream because client and the stream, they're linked. So,
yeah.
The spoilers, question mark. But honestly, we expected this game to be ending soon, regardless.
Listen, as long as we don't allow betting on this game now, it's all kosher.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Expo trying to assassinate Chandler Clark. Couldn't quite get the job done there. Pretty rough stuff when you cannot kill a Lucian. TJ, once again, dying. I feel like Fishing Frenzy has done that so much. Hacksaw landing a huge Seraphine ultimate, hitting 3 members. You mean to tell me they lose this fight? You telling me a shrimp fried this rice? Fishing Frenzy gets taken down by Chandler Clark. Never mind, I figured out how it happened.
Yeah, they don't necessarily lose the fight off that, but they're able to stall it out significantly longer. So it is Elder Dragon time, though, and this is where the last stand comes through. If this side of Maria's Dungeon are going to somehow miraculously win this game in the next 2 minutes. They need to get this Elder Dragon, and Nuke's getting chunked out is not the way to do so. Oh my goodness.
Boxy, and he's just way too fast. The fadeaway Everfrost picking up another on Nukes, 9, 6, and 10. Compare that with the 9, 6, and 9 of Nukes, and these mid laners really had very strong performances for themselves so far.
Yeah, and that's going to be Elder Dragon picked up, and I think that answers why we heard the little notification ping there, because Elder Dragon with Ocean Soul as well, and an exposed Nexus, not a very good combo if you're the side of Maria's Dungeon, but realistically, they have ways to kind of regroup for next game and look for that victory, but oh my goodness. Exo's still a very good player at this game. He's very good at this game.
Chandler Clark getting taken down. Fishing Frenzy now picking up a kill as well. Engagement on Adam here. Does he have enough to kill him? No, you're right. They are porting in. Haxel can't land the ultimate on Boxy, and somebody stop this man. He's killing the Nexus. TJ manages to get the kill as well, and that is all she wrote. Glacial Mingos taking a very strong game 1.
Yeah, really well played from both teams overall. It was actually a very entertaining series, as now I need to fix this screen because the logo is all messed up. But regardless, very well played from Mingos. They're able to pick up game 1 in I don't want to say it was clean because it definitely wasn't, but it was very entertaining to say the least.
Oh, yeah. It was a massively entertaining game. It felt like you were watching two heavyweight teams kind of slug it out at each other because it wasn't, a one-sided stomp. These teams going back and forth, back and forth. One moment I thought that Maria's Dungeon was going to win the game. The next moment I thought that Glacial Mingos were going to win the game. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was very entertaining overall, and I think that for this next game that we have up on the docket, we should see some of the picks go through again, but I think that the ban phase is definitely going to look a little bit different. As for that Scion for TJ Lanier, it worked. I don't want to see it ever again because I don't like seeing that stuff. It was
yeah, it's just so weird in a team environment, right?
Yeah, it's incredibly weird because
who signed off on this? Who's the team captain of the actual Mingos and said, you know what? Yeah, you can play Disco Scion. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it worked, but for all of you playing solo queue, don't do that unless you're the boss. But it worked, so. Maybe we don't know anything. Speaking
of Disco Scion, we're going to disco on out of here. We're going to take a very short break to get this game 2 all situated, bring you a nice pro draft, and, go get some food. You got a little bit of time. You're not going to want to miss the second game because that first game was awesome.